Good morning. How is everyone today?
Good.
Good. I'm working from home today, and yesterday Logan had a bit of a cold over the weekend, so we thought we'd go and get him tested and do the responsible thing. So we're still waiting on his results. I think he's fine, but
Oh, well, I hope so.
yeah, just a bit of a cold, I think, but we have to do the responsible thing, right? And we waited in line for an hour. There was probably 150 cars in front of us, and when we left, there was just as many as when we got there. So it was crazy busy.
Wow. We have to do that tomorrow. We're leaving on vacation this weekend and we have to be tested prior to leaving. You have to bring your results with you. And so yeah, we got to do that tomorrow morning. So good to know.
Yeah, they opened, well, at least they opened yesterday at 9:30. So, and we got there an hour after they opened. So I guess I would recommend like getting there as soon as you can, that we don't have to wait in line as long. Yeah, and it's at the Grand Marina.
Yeah, thank you. That's our plan. So we'll see how it goes.
I'm just going to be admitting people into the meeting as we go. So I think there's a couple more. So we'll get started here in a couple minutes. So Katie is busy in transmittal today, and then Erin has another appointment. So you will be hearing from only me today. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that.
Lucky us.
I know, right?
Jimmy, nice bar area.
Yeah, well, I thought I'd start off the morning right.
Perfect.
You ever seen this stuff?
At your place a few times, yes.
That's still here. There's a little left. Beautiful day today.
I can't believe it's going to be 70 degrees. That's crazy.
I know. I'm golfing after this.
Yes. Sure. We should all be getting outside. That's for sure.
Yes, agreed.
Okay, well, we are going to go ahead and get started. So the team meeting portion of this is going to be really quick. We're just going to go over a few announcements and then get right into the interview with Bruce and Kelly. So we've got people kind of hopping on and I have to admit them. So forgive me if you see me kind of, doing that throughout. So as you know, today is election day. If you have not already voted in person, you can certainly do so. Still, if you've sent in your absentee ballot, thank you for doing that. I did find out that my husband, when he sent his in, he forgot to sign one of the envelopes. And so they sent him another ballot, and then it was too late for him to be able to mail it in. It wasn't going to get counted. So he's got to go in person. And I did find out that you can, if you had a ballot sent to you and you didn't fill it out, you can still go vote in person. So just a little bit of information there that I wasn't aware of that we found out. So anyway, if you haven't voted already, make sure you get out and do so. We have a few new agents to announce. So Brian Ramirez has joined us this month, Logan Corkill, and Christina Malterud. So they're brand new agents. So they're just starting out. Christina and Logan will be a part of our transaction coaching program. So we're excited, to hear about the results and how that goes with them. But make sure that if you see them in the market center or, if you have a chance, just reach out to them and welcome them. So for joining us in the month of October. We do have a few cappers over the last couple weeks. So Todd Whiting, Angie Bacon-Burke, and Mark Boyda all capped over the last couple weeks. So congratulations to you guys for keeping 100% of your commission. Very excited for you. And October was a crazy month. We have been breaking records over the last few months this year, and October was no different. So we don't have the multi-year trends report out quite yet, but we broke some records in October, all-time records. So we're talking not just for the month of October, but we broke records across the board. So super excited to be sharing that information with you as it comes out. But just want to give you a little sneak peek, a little spoiler to be watching for those numbers, because it's going to be a really exciting month. Okay, just another reminder for our interview series. So today we're going to be interviewing Bruce and Kelly Domaille, talking about how to set up your database and feed it, and also, you know, some of their best practices and things that they did, you know, to get business when they first started out. So I'm excited to be sharing that interview with you. And then also don't miss Lauren Booten with Change the Playbook on the 17th. Stoggeberg, Get Your Head into the Game on December 1st. And then the one on the 15th is actually not going to be Kelly. She ended up having a previous engagement. So we will be announcing that one once that gets set up. So hopefully it will still be the same topic, master your listing game. And make sure that you stay on after the interview. We do have a vendor hopping on for a little bit, Thomas Olson with Virtuance Photography. So make sure you stick on for him. He's always got great information to share. Okay, we're just gonna get right into it. Bruce and Kelly, are you guys ready? Okay, we are gonna get into this interview. I'm just gonna turn my screen off here. Alrighty. Okay, so why don't I share some just a stat for Bruce and Kelly. So this year, well, last year I'll just talk about, so your contracts closed volume for last year, all of last year was a little over $12 million. This year, you're already at 13 million and we still have 2 months to go. So that's super exciting to see you guys growing and continuing to just rock your business. Yeah, that's super exciting. So just wanted to share that little stat with you and we'll get right into it. So Bruce and Kelly, what did you do as brand new agents to get business?
Well, I started first before Bruce joined me. And so I was not only brand new to Rochester, like, you know, only within a couple years. And and when I started with Keller, I was brand new to real estate outside of just repping for a custom home builder in a private development. So I wasn't like a real estate agent out and about, you know, in the community. So basically what I did was I just got involved. I got involved in groups and organizations and told everybody that I was in real estate. My background before that was I was a mortgage lender for about 10 years. So it did help that I knew the lingo and, you know, the other players in the industry. So that was a positive, but basically it was just trying to get to know people in Rochester and get involved.
Awesome. So, you know, that's one of the things that we really encourage our agents to do right now. It looks a little different, right? Getting involved in things and, you know, the chamber with their groups, you know, nobody's getting together in person right now. So, you know, great advice. We always hope that agents are just getting out there, getting involved in the community and just letting everybody know that they sell real estate because people forget, right?
Yep. Yep. And this was before we had really a system through KW too. Like, so when I started, I think I had Outlook, you know, on my computer. And then a few years later, or maybe even a year later, I used Top Producer for my contact management system. And so that's really what I did is I took everybody that I knew, I put them in that system. And then, you know, Bruce came along and started helping me from an administrative side. And he basically just followed the touch system, that Keller recommended through the MREA. So that also helped too. So just the plan is there, just follow it,
Well, I know that you guys have incredible systems and models in place to stay top of mind with your people. So, I think that you are using command at a really high level, Bruce, in order to be able to do that. And so we'll get into that a little bit too.
Yeah, Bruce, you hit that on the head. Yes. Yeah, I don't know if Kelly knows how to get into command.
Hey,
oh, sorry.
I do.
That's okay. It's important to recognize our strengths and our weaknesses, right?
Leverage.
Hire to your weaknesses. So what would you say is your best source now for new leads?
For sure, our best source is our sphere and our past clients, and that kind of works hand in hand with command and the touch system, right? I would say last year, just from a stat standpoint, 2019, we did 77% of our business was from past clients in our sphere.
Wow.
And then this year, right now, we're at 74%. So that is definitely the bulk of our business. And so we do, I should say, Bruce does a great job of, every day going into command, doing those tasks, doing the touches, sending stuff out on a regular basis so that we're staying in front of those people. And
awesome.
It works. Yeah.
77% and 74%, those are incredible numbers for referrals. NAR tells us that there's a very high percentage of people that would, I don't know the numbers in front of me, that would use the agent that they used for their previous transaction, but a very small percentage of them actually do because they either can't remember who their agent was or their agent just isn't reaching out to them and isn't staying top of mind. So that's great. Those are awesome numbers. Can you share with us who is a part of your team? Who makes up your team?
You're looking at them.
This is it.
We have, I feel like I'm doing all the talking, but that's kind of how this works.
Yeah,
so over the years, we have obviously, added, subtracted, changed, whatever. We've tried to leverage pieces of our business and ultimately, for different reasons, but ultimately we just really work well together, and we find that the two of us are really the best fit. Bruce does all of the admin, all of the business planning, all of the, the back end, and I'm kind of the front face person, right? I'm out doing the sales and dealing with the clients for the most part. Now, obviously Bruce is licensed, so he can deal with clients and does quite often in the overflow situation, but that's really kind of how it works. So,
and we really just realized that we have not hit our max of what we both can do together. So, I think if there's a takeaway, that might be it. We have tried many times in the past to prepare to build a team, but we realized we weren't ready. We still had so much time that we could grow ourselves and do our own things, which obviously affected the bottom line of our business.
I think that's one key thing for people is that, we talk about leverage, and when you get to that point of you can't do any more, that's when you add that next piece of leverage. But what we found is we added it too soon, right? We were like, yep, I'm so busy, I need to add a buyer's agent, or yep, we're so busy, we want another administrative person. And ultimately, what happens when you add that leverage is that then you need to hold yourself accountable, right? Because now you've got this additional time because someone else is taking those tasks off your plate. But most agents then don't take that extra time and do what they do to get more business, right? I'm like, oh, I got a free afternoon because I don't have to do the transaction coordinating or whatever, right? And so we just found that we weren't holding ourselves accountable to the leverage we were hoping to provide ourselves to go get more business. And so, ultimately it's just coming down to, we're going to work ourselves to the bones before we ever get to the next point of that leverage piece.
Got it. That's great advice. The MREA tells us exactly how to build a team, right? Who to hire first, what tasks to assign, those kinds of things. And so yeah, it's important to recognize, when you're ready. And, I'm glad that you guys recognize that, it was too soon. You weren't ready for that additional team member. And, hopefully you'll feel like you're ready soon. We're excited to see you build that team and continue to grow.
Yeah, I don't know. Things are working pretty good right now. We might just kind of stick with status quo for a while.
Well, we don't know what's going to happen with the election. We don't know what's going to happen with the economy. We don't know where the market's going to go. So I think that's a smart decision.
Yeah.
Smart decision. Yeah. So can you share with us what a typical day looks like for you, Bruce, and what a typical day looks like for you, Kelly? Because I know that you work together, but very individually.
Yeah. So mine is pretty simple. I follow the MREA and do all my lead gen and everything in the morning. So I get up and the first thing I do is I work on command. And I will complete all my tasks. I will add any clients, set them up on smart plans, and do any of the Facebook lead generation campaigns that are appropriate for that point in time. And then also just do maintenance and general contact management in command. So my entire life is focused around command. And the reason it is because it will do everything for you. You just have to have the time and take the time to set it up. So that's what my day is. And then it's filled with whatever gets thrown at me from whatever Kelly's done.
Transaction coordinating.
Yeah. And so it sounds simple, but it takes a lot of time.
And we actually found, because I'm going to be quite honest, you guys, like I preach lead generation all the time, but I'm also one of those agents that it just doesn't happen consistently, right? Like I hate it. I'm just going to be honest in terms of certain types of lead generation, right? I hate making the phone calls, blah, blah, blah. So we just found from a good leveraging decision was Bruce does all of that in the morning and does all the touches and does all of that face-to-face and voice-to-voice and email-to-email stuff. And that frees me up for the lead generation that I like, which is being parts of committees and organizations and getting out into the community and being seen that way. And, connecting with our sphere and our A+ referrers. I like to support their causes and their activities so that they feel, that reciprocation when they need us. So it kind of works. We just do lead generation in a different way. And that's really my day, is just getting out in the community, being involved, obviously doing my appointments, doing my CMAs or my, buyer consultations. So that's pretty much how our days look.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And, a simple thing as Kelly was saying, just getting out in the community, you don't necessarily have to talk about real estate all the time when you're with those people. Just wearing like a Keller Williams Premier Realty polo or a hat, people see that and they remember that you're in real estate. So yeah, just getting out in the community is a great way to continue to grow your business. So,
absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Bruce, I do have a question about smart plans. You talked about setting new people up on smart plans. Can you share with us, do you use the Keller Williams International provided smart plans, or are you using other agent smart plans? Are you adopting those? Or are you creating your own?
All of the
yes
above.
To all three. Yeah, yes to all three. So the old adage that why I can't even remember what it is now about creating something new.
Not reinventing the wheel.
Yeah, it's our R&D department, Rob and Duplicate. So there are so many smart plans now that are available from other agents that Keller is allowing us to share, which is awesome. I just the other day, I picked up 3 of those that we're using for our clients. I've created, I think I have 35 of my own smart plans that I've created. It takes a long time. But again, if you spend that upfront time, it's just like everything else. If you spend the upfront time to build that foundation, and then you just set it and forget it, it pretty much works.
Do the tasks, right? Stay on top of your tasks
daily. And like, to Kelly's point, you have to realize what you're going to do and what you're not going to do, because if you're not going to do the tasks and you set them up and you have 10 tasks to do today and you don't go in and you don't do them, tomorrow you have 20, and within 10 days you have 100, and then it seems overwhelming and you don't do any of them. So if you're not going to do them, figure out
who will for you.
Who will, and if you're not in that position, figure out, and you still want to stay in real estate, figure out how that's going to happen, because that's the only way moving forward that you're going to stay in business.
Thank you. Good advice. We tell new agents all the time, you're going to get out of this business what you put into it, and you guys are great examples of that. So awesome.
Tell them what you do.
So what would be, switching gears a little bit, what would be your tips for, we'll do a listing presentation first, then we're going to talk about a buyer presentation. So best practices or just a few tips that you can share that you feel like makes your listing presentation so great.
Okay. So my first thing is that, and you guys, I've taught so many paperwork classes that, like I know my paperwork and I know my stuff inside and out, so that when I'm actually sitting down with the client, I'm not having to try to read it as I'm presenting, right? I know it so well that I can actually really listen to the client and have a conversation with the client, so that it's not all about me and the paperwork, it's about them and the process. And then I can relay how the process will accommodate what their needs are, right? So that would be my first thing, is really know what your job is, you guys. And once you do, then it becomes all about your client. The second thing, and I touched on it just a little bit, is just to be able to listen. I mean, a listing presentation, ultimately, you can say a ton of stuff in a listing presentation, but none of it's going to matter if it isn't important to the client in front of you. So if you have a set presentation that never changes, you're going to lose a lot of clients because it may not appeal to everybody, right? So you have to be a little flexible on your presentation game, and listen to your clients so that you can answer what they're wanting and what they're needing, and you'll be the right fit for the job then.
Do you have a listing presentation that you go to every single listing with?
I have kind of a basic outline that I do. So yes, there are things that I want to achieve when I go to that presentation. But again, I like to just keep it very flexible, because especially if I haven't met them yet, I don't know what kind of people they are, right? And so if I'm dealing with super analytical people that they're not into the fluff and the happy-go-lucky like Kelly is, I have to adjust my personality and my presentation a little bit. Now, if I've got talkers and high eyes, that tends to be a little bit different of a presentation. So, but yeah, the basic outline is pretty similar.
Got it. Thanks for sharing that advice. We hear that a lot, mirror and match, right? You kind of have to figure out what kind of personality you're dealing with and, adjust your personality, your presentation a little bit to match theirs.
Right.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Buyer presentation. What are your best practices or some good tips that you can share with us? What makes your buyer presentation so great?
I really think it's very similar, right? I mean, I know what they're looking for. They're looking for a house, right? They're looking to buy or invest. And so now it comes down to, why are they looking? What's their motivation? What are their needs? Are they a first-time home buyer? Are they a, last-time home buyer? And just trying again to listen and tailor the presentation to them. I mean, this really isn't rocket science, as we all know. I mean, you could, there's 5,000 listing presentations out there that we can all steal and use. So the guts of a presentation really aren't that difficult. What's difficult is making sure that client feels you're the best fit for them and that you can accomplish what they're wanting to accomplish.
Got it. So would you say that your presentations are more information heavy, or are you asking more questions? Are you getting more information? Are you delivering information?
Yeah,
Would you say?
I ask a lot of questions. I ask a lot of questions. I mean, I still deliver the information, but it's digging deep. You know, in the beginning, it's really, I don't just sit down and go, okay, let's get to it. And here's what a listing is, and or here's what here's what buying a home looks like. It's all about, hey, tell me about why we're sitting here today. You know, what's your plan? What does your time frame look like? Why is that important? You know, it's really digging deep and finding out what is that client's motivation, so that when I do deliver the information in the presentation, I'm able to present it and then show them why it's a benefit and how it's going to fit their needs, right? Or fix the problem that they have. So, you know, I think it's listening, digging deep for the motivation, and then answering or fixing the problem. The other thing is, you know, we talk about unique selling propositions, and you know, what is your unique value proposition or your unique sales proposition, right? And so when I was just talking about the presentation and how you have to be flexible, I was thinking about, I have several of those UVPs, right? And it all comes down to who I'm sitting in front of. And so, you know, I would challenge all of you, if you guys don't know your unique value proposition, you all have more than one, and make a list of those so that you know, okay, oh, today I'm sitting down with a first-time home buyer, right? And so when I sit down with them, my unique value proposition is, I was a lender for 10 years prior to being a real estate agent for 16, which means I also taught first-time home buyers, you know, classes and courses. So I am passionate about making sure that you're making a great investment and the first step to building wealth, right? So that's that UVP. When I'm sitting down with a high-end luxury home seller or buyer, I'm going to use the UVP that I'm a certified luxury home marketing specialist, right? So it's all going to be tailored to who that client is.
Awesome. Great advice. I think that it's really important for, especially our newer agents, to hear that every listing presentation and every buyer presentation doesn't look the same, and that's okay. It shouldn't. You know, it really should be tailored to the client. So thank you. Awesome.
And I think if you do, you know, if you're following the same little script every single time, which scripts are great, but if you aren't flexible in that presentation, they will feel that. They will know it's like a rehearsed little script, right? Or dialogue. Monologue, I should say.
Right. People don't care how much we know until they know how much we care, right? We hear that all the time. So
exactly.
Those are great examples of that. So what would you, well, you know what, I'm going to skip this question because you really just answered that. What would you consider your best value proposition? So we're going to skip over that one. You did a great job explaining that. So what would be your advice for setting expectations with sellers and buyers early on, so that when those bumps in the road occur, you know, you've already kind of had that conversation so that it takes a little bit of the drama out of the transaction?
Yeah, well, I'll answer it and then I'll let you answer it too, Bruce, from a transaction coordination side as well. My first thing is just definitely do it. Set expectations. There's so many agents that don't. So that should be part of your, you know, initial conversation when you are signing that listing contract, or when you're signing up, you know, a buyer on a buyer rep, is that you are setting expectations for both, right? So not only should you be asking them, what do you expect from me out of this transaction? You know, how can I make this a 10 plus experience for you, so that you know their expectations, but also then setting yours, you know. And if you don't do that, I think the problem is you're going to have unsatisfied clients. You know, they're going to feel there were just too many bumps in the road. So if you get to the tail end and a few things came up throughout that transaction that you already kind of prefaced, you know, they're going to feel that they were already prepared and that it was handled, you know, as expected. What else? Well, yeah, I think it just creates opportunity for a successful client all the way through.
Yeah. And, you know, we go through this process. We've all heard or kind of grown up in the business that you're better off over disclosing than you are under disclosing. We take that to a different level with communication. You know, we feel that you're better off over communicating than you are under communicating. And so we've kind of developed all of our systems and models around that, where You know, all the clients that we work with, we take the assumption that they know nothing about our process. We do it every day. And so we really have to dumb it down and break everything down. And part of the expectations is to tell them what's coming up, tell them what we're going to need. And we have to look at our dealings with them and with the title company and with the lender and everything else. And so we set the expectations, or I set the expectations with them of, okay, here's where we're at. Here's what you can expect. Here's who's going to need what and when, and here's the timing, and here's how it goes. And it's kind of like a super in-depth listing contract or buyer representation contract, right?
We actually went to the point of, we have formulated a what's next letter for buyers and what's next letter for sellers. So when we take a contract, Bruce will reach out, introduce himself as, the administrative person on our team. And then he sends a, what's next, like what you can expect and what's next, flyer or informational piece to them. So, that's initially just right out of the gate, setting expectations for what they need to do and what we're going to be doing on their behalf as we move forward.
I love that. It really, to me, it seems like you're setting a precedence that like you're being very transparent and you're all working through this together and you're all, communicating together, and like you're really making them a big part of the transaction, right? You're not kind of leaving them in the dark, which I think sometimes, agents can do, not intentionally, but it happens.
Right.
And one of the things that I heard is reminding yourself that, you guys have done tons of transactions and you are very familiar with the process, and you've got a first-time home buyer that doesn't even know what some of these terms mean. So just like even just giving them like a glossary of terms, things like that, or just reminding yourself that this is their first time and putting yourself in their shoes. I think that's
we try to anticipate the questions and issues, and most of them are pretty much the same between any buyer or any seller. And so we just try to get ahead of that curve because we know what they're going to ask. We know what questions they have. And, if they get tired of us communicating, they probably sold a house or two or bought a house or two. And you know what, that's okay, because then we get comments of, I appreciate the communication, and, we didn't have this last time, or, so it just solidifies us again as their real estate agents of choice.
Makes things a lot less stressful for you guys too, right?
Yeah. Well, I think if anybody, especially if you have an administrative person or a transaction coordinator or whatever, when you do that, what's next, or like, here's what you can expect, it's a great transition for me as a sales agent to say, hey, now Bruce is going to be in contact with you from here on through. Like, you feel free to call me, but really he's your guy, right? So what that does is that's why you have that leverage piece if you are a team or an agent that has an assistant, because then you can divert and create the expectation that your administrative person is going to be kind of that day-to-day task stuff that frees the salesperson up to get out and find more business.
Awesome. Yes. Always over communicating is better than under, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Great. Thanks for sharing that. What would you say? What are you hearing? Switching gears a little bit again. Real estate looks a lot different right now. So what would you say that what are some of the common things that you're hearing from your clients as it regards to their concerns in the market we're in when you're meeting with sellers, when you're meeting with buyers? What are some of the things you're hearing?
Well, sellers want to make sure they've got a place that they can move to before they sell their house, because we've just got low inventory, right? So they don't want to put their house on too soon, but yet they want to be out looking, so I think that's a concern. Mm-hmm. And then, we are seeing a lot of contingent offers out there, a lot more than normal. And however, the flip side of that is, even though we're seeing more contingent offers, we are seeing a lot more sellers being willing to maybe buy that next house before this one is sold too, just because the rates are so low, right? And so the payments are a little bit less and they are willing to take that risk a little bit. Also knowing that with low inventory, it shouldn't take long to sell a house. So we're really seeing both sides of that. And as far as buyers, I mean, ultimately it's just, can we find a house? You know, I mean, especially those that are in that lower price bracket, it's just tough, you know, and they're getting discouraged when they lose houses, you know, in that multiple offer game. And so it's really just, I mean, those are their fears or concerns, and it's really just education and showing them that you can be working hard for them, you know, to try to accomplish their goals. So.
Awesome. So this question wasn't on our list, so I'm going to throw a curveball at you, but you can answer it, I'm confident. What are you guys seeing with, just to share with the other agents that are experiencing the same thing, just so that we can feel like we're kind of all in this together? What are you seeing as far as multiple offers, and what are you seeing that is the tipping point, or, you know, the one or two things that buyers are doing to be able to clinch that accepted offer?
Yeah, I mean, we have seen our share of multiple offers this year. So I think it's two-sided. So if you're working with that seller that, you know, this could potentially be a multiple offer price point home, really just getting that home in the best position so that you get those good offers, like having it pre-inspected, making sure that your sellers have it looking fantastic, you know, as soon as it hits the market, coaching them to maybe being able to do that coming soon, to create a little bit of that urgency so that, boy, when it hits Friday, we're going to have a crazy weekend, but hopefully by Sunday, you know, we've got this thing sold, right? With buyers, it's all about educating them on being aggressive, but not reckless, right? I still will never be a fan of going in with no inspections and, you know, 15 over asking price if you can't afford it and you don't know what you're dealing with in a home, like you're not a contractor, right? So I think those are strategies. You definitely can use a seller's inspection report, or if you are somewhat handy, or you know someone who's somewhat handy, that you're okay maybe doing a little bit of fixer-upper stuff and then doing an offer without an inspection. But that's my biggest thing, is just when you're working with your buyers, make sure that you're not telling them what to do. You're advising them of the pros and cons of the decisions they want to make when formulating the offer. So.
Thanks for bringing that up, Kelly. You know, that's great advice. It's so important for agents to remember that, you know, your job is to deliver the information, talk about the pros and cons. Like, yep, you can, you know, cut your inspection. This is what could happen. You could have your inspection. This is how it could affect your offer if we're in multiples. Just giving them all the information so that they're making their own decisions, so that if something does come up, and so they're not going to blame you, right? Like, hey, you told me to do this and this is what happened. No, right. Let's give them the information and let them make that decision on their own.
Right. And the other thing that we're starting to see, and that you guys might see as well, is that, you know, appraisals. I mean, that's the problem. We're getting these multiple offers with 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 over, and that appraiser, you know, may not find that value. So those appraisals may not come in. So, I mean, we've even seen crazy stuff where buyers have come in and said, we'll pay 15,000 over and we don't care if the appraisal doesn't come in. We're willing to pay the difference. So, you know, hey, if that's what your client's able and willing to do, you know, again, just let them know this might be a tough resale down the road when you hope to get your equity out, right? So again, knowing the pros and cons.
The other super simple thing for buyers to do, which we recommend, is to have them write a letter to the sellers. Include a photo of the family. A lot of people don't get that level of emotional connection when you're doing a transaction, whether you're a buyer or a seller. And it takes so little time, but it could have such a huge impact, where if you've got 3 deals that are pretty close, you know, the letter might be the tipping point.
Now, a few required broker modules back, they said, don't do that, because you could be opening yourself up to like the fair housing issues, right? I don't know. I just kind of say, you know, our experiences, we don't say, hey, go ahead and do it. But if they say, do you think we should write a letter? We would say, if that's what you want to do, you know, we're certainly going to forward it on, right? And in our experience, it has helped. Like we've won several situations where that letter was included. So
yes, there's a little bit of two schools of thought on those, right?
Yeah.
And you can ask your seller too, like, hey, this offer came with a buyer's letter. Do you want to see it? And
Correct.
they can make that decision for themselves.
Correct.
If they feel like that's going to sway their decision. So,
right.
Awesome.
So what do you say to your sellers? Do you bring that up before you put the house on the market?
Oh, you just cut out.
You just
honey.
lost your audio.
Oh,
there you go. Now
You're
you're
back.
back.
so what do you say to your sellers? Do you bring that up before you put the house on the market, that some people may submit letters and ask them if they want to see it, or do you just deal with it when it comes?
Yep. I mean, that's all part of our multiple offer conversation. We just say, hey, your house is in the price point that a multiple offer could potentially happen. Here's what we're going to do. They're coming soon. It'll hit. You could get all sorts of offers. We could get them with the letters. So, bottom line, do you want us to submit everything to you? Do you want to submit those with letters, without letters? I mean, we kind of just go through what are you looking for from an expectation of offer presentation. So.
Awesome. Oh, getting a phone call. Okay, so what do you do? You kind of touched on this a little bit already, Bruce, but what do you do if there's anything that you feel, additional that's important to share to stay top of mind with every client? Because I know you guys have a big database. How big is your database?
We have about 1,600 people. It's not large by any fashion, but the thing that we do is we make sure that those 1,600 people are potentially touched 3-4 times a month, in different ways, so it's not intrusive, or it doesn't seem to be too much where they'll just opt out of whatever we're sending them.
We also purge too. We go through, or Bruce goes through on a regular basis, and every year, and we'll purge out people from our database as well that may be listed with somebody else, or so I mean, you're not going to win them all, but if we don't get any response or we don't get any participation in any way after a while with some of these people, we'll just purge them out. So.
And talking about the database, I think it's super important to understand and to do that each individual is different, even husband and wife. So how you contact each individual, or what smart plans you put on a husband versus a wife, or spouse versus spouse, or partner versus partner, whatever, all depends on like our relationship with that person. If Kelly knows them and all the communication's coming from me, it's going to be a different smart plan than if I know them and all the communication's coming from me. And so I think it's very important that you individualize all of your touches so that people believe and are under the impression when they see what they get that you have personally reached out to them on whatever level that you know them on, so that it makes sense and it's not just a generic whatever it is that you send out or communicate with them.
And we also know who our raving fans are, right? We know that certain section of our database that will always send us business no matter what. And we make sure that we take care of those people. We are regularly at their functions or events or personal things. We try to interact with them on a very consistent, regular basis, several times a month, both personal and business. So, you just have to know who your A+ fans are and make sure they stay that way.
Mm-hmm. It seems to me like, you guys do a really good job of making sure that your clients look at you as their realtor for life and not just their realtor for this one transaction, and that you're not just in it to make money and just to, knock out transactions. You really care. I mean, you're getting involved with your VIP clients, organizations and the things that they care about. And that really shows that you care and they feel that, right? I mean, if you were just in it to make money, they would feel that. If you were just sending them generic information and not sending them pieces of value and individualizing that experience, like you talked about, Bruce, they're going to feel that. So, while the monthly neighborhood nurture is important to be sending them, you also need to be sending things that are of real value to them, right?
Absolutely. And this is, it's not too many people that get into the real estate business believe it's a money business, a real easy way to make money and not do a whole lot of work. Kelly and I have grown up on the service side of it and the relationship side, and it's very simple for us. I mean, it's a relationship business. If you make and foster those relationships, anything you're doing, I don't care if you're selling real estate or Avon, it's still going to work, right? You're going to be successful if you people can see through the phony relationship building stuff, and that's what we try to stay away from.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's awesome. I'm going to skip over this one. What do you attribute your success, unless you feel like you want to, share something about that? I think you guys have really kind of touched on what makes you so successful.
Yeah, and I'm extremely confident.
Yeah, and I got to live with that.
I like
that
me.
Is very important. Nothing wrong with that, right?
Right.
Nothing wrong with that. So what is one piece of advice you can give to experienced agents to help them continue to grow their business?
I think I'm going to kind of go back to what I mentioned before, is about the leverage piece. Is, again, if experienced, right, you want to grow your business. So you're an experienced agent, you're out there, you're producing, you're whatever. We sometimes feel like, oh, we've got to add that leverage piece before we really need to, right? But now, if you do really need it and you add it, you have to be accountable to what that is leveraging for you. So if you add that admin to free up, let's say an hour or two a day of work for you, then use that hour or two a day to go get more business, not just to sit at home and watch, Dr. Phil, right? So you need to hold yourself accountable to the expense that you just added to your team, because that is like what we found is that, again, we thought we needed this extra leverage piece, and because we didn't hold ourselves accountable to that, to using that additional time we just freed up, it ended up being an expense to us versus an asset. And when you are an experienced agent, I've known way too many that were doing well and they were successful, but they added that expense piece, and now they actually made less GCI because they weren't going out and using that leverage. So use your leverage to the best of your ability.
And I think that the one thing that I would add to that is, especially this year, so many agents are having a record-breaking year, right? And they look at all these fancy little glittery things that they can buy and spend money on that they didn't have before, and even leverage as far as personnel, or adding buyers or sellers agents, whatever it is. And you if you're not at the point that you are doing 100% of what you can do, you're really just kind of throwing money away unless you have a massively solid plan of growth already, and how to get there. Not just, I want to grow my team. It's, I want to grow my team, and this is how I'm going to do it, and this is how I can achieve it, and here are my goals and my timed goals to get there. And some of us, we're having record-breaking years with just doing it ourselves. And the thing that you have to ask is, how much bigger do I want to get? Am I very comfortable with where I'm at? And if I am, why spend the money on that extra leverage piece if I'm not going to double my business?
Right. Every piece you have to hold accountable, right? If you're, whether or not, you're signing up with this company to do mail outs, or you're doing whatever, you've got to hold every dollar you spend. You have to hold it accountable to give you a return. And if it's not, get rid of it. And, in March, when we were told we were getting shut down, right? Everybody's going to be staying home, and we weren't sure if we were going to be essential. Gary Keller came out and said, all right, everybody, buckle down, right? Cut the fat, get down to be a lean, mean machine. And that's exactly what we did. And we found this was the eye opener. We were not maxing ourselves out. We had a lot of extra stuff that really was an expense. It wasn't necessarily giving us the return that we should have gotten from it. And so this will be our record-breaking year in the middle of a pandemic, doing it all ourselves. So there you go.
Awesome. Yeah, that's one of the things I love so much about Keller Williams is, it was really scary when we didn't know what was going to happen in March, and we were looking for guidance and leadership. And that's exactly what Gary Keller did. Is he hopped on, he did the super raw, transparent 1 hour just conversation about where do we go from here? And he gave us a map to exactly what we needed to do.
Yep.
So sounds like you guys listened very well to that.
I mean,
You try.
It's really just reevaluating yourself. And we were at that point that we had to do that.
So what is one piece of advice, flipping a little bit, that you can give to brand new agents to help them get into production? Because that is a question that we get all the time with new agents. Okay, I've got my license. Great. I can represent buyers and sellers. Awesome. How do I get business?
Right. So I would just go back to what I did, right? I mean, just be purposeful in all your communications and the people that you know, letting them know you're in real estate. And then, being involved, right? Don't just sit in the office and wait for the phone to ring. You've got to get out there and get involved. And obviously this year, a little bit difficult to do with everything being kind of closed and, fewer opportunities to be out and about in the community. But as a general rule, you've just got to get out and just start talking to people. I will share an experience. We had a buyer's agent a number of years ago, and she was probably one of the most involved people I've ever met. She's on volleyball. She's in the Mommy and Me group. She's, in 20 different organizations. However, she was not purposeful. And so a good friend of hers, a few doors down, ended up, a sign went up in her yard, and it was a RE/MAX sign. And she came to work and she was so upset. And, we said, well, hey, did you ever tell her what you did? And well, they all know I'm a real estate agent. I said, well, but did you ever say, hey, volleyball team, for 1 second, I'd like to just put my business hat on and say, hey, I'm a real estate agent. And if you guys ever need real estate help, I want you to call me, right? And then you go, okay, taking the hat off, back to playing volleyball, right? But you still have to be purposeful and can't assume that everybody will use you just because they know you, right? They need to feel comfortable and confident with you. So that's my first piece of advice. My second one is time block. Like Bruce said, every day he goes in and touches command. And, I don't care if it's just for an hour that you time block going into your command and doing the things that you need to do. Just do what you can do for that hour or your 2 hours or whatever you time block for yourself. And then when it's done, when that time is done, be done and move on to the next thing that you want to do so that you don't feel so overwhelmed, but you just have to do it. And if for some reason it's on your calendar today and you can't do it because something comes up, right, Lisa? Like you have a sick child at home and you've got to take care of them, right? If you erase it, you have to replace it. So if you can't do it this morning because something happened, do it tonight or do double tomorrow. But just do it. It's not that hard to just time block. And if you time block early in the day, less chance for interruption.
Awesome. So time block and get involved. There's two things I heard about. One of the bold laws is if it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist, right? So put those big rocks in your calendar so that you're not allowing other people to take over your schedule. Keeping in charge of your schedule is really important. I know you guys do a great job of that.
And I love that you just said that they're big rocks. And I want you guys to visualize this. If it's a big rock, it should be super hard to move. It should be super hard to get it out of the way. Just do it. Because it's going to be there and it needs to be there. So use that visualization.
Yeah. Good advice. So I can't believe it's already 11:52. This is going by so fast. So just two more questions, and we're going to have Thomas from Virtuance hop on. But these are more, systems questions. So Bruce, you talked about command already, and I'm using it at a high level. So really quick, what would you say is maybe one thing or two things in command that help you? You kind of touched on this already. Maybe let's just tell me, what advice can you give new agents or existing agents that maybe aren't plugging into command? What advice can you give them, or like what tidbit can you give them that you feel command really helps you grow your business?
Well, you mentioned it before, keeping top of mind. And that's the most important thing with clients or customers these days.
But what in command?
Keeping top of mind. I mean, that's everything that you're doing right now outside of command can be done in command in some way, shape, or form. So keeping top of mind can be the smart plans, setting up your client database. And it seems so overwhelming. Let's take the 1,600 contacts that we have. I've been working on them for 12 months. And yes, it takes a long time, but when you have to go back and touch each individual contact more than once, it does take time. So break that down into Kelly's time blocking and just do 5 or 10 contacts a day and just put them in and make it super simple. But just do it. And once you add your contacts, then you can add or create or go steal smart plans that work for you, and start with one. Just grab a smart plan like a monthly neighborhood nurture or a quarterly call plan if you have a phone number, and put the contact in, put all the information that you have in, put them on that smart plan, start it right away, and let it go. Just do it.
Just do the work.
Do it. You'll never do it.
Yes. So true, and easier said than done, right?
Absolutely, and I understand the value of the scales, right? Do I go out and try to get business, or do I spend my time in here in front of my computer putting my contacts in? I don't see any value in that, but the value in that is in the future,
right? Long term.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you're going to need business in 5 years too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
One last really quick question: why Keller Williams?
Systems and models for sure. I think when I first started, Bruce was not in real estate. He owned his own car dealership, and I had him read the MREA. And he before I said yes to Keller, and he did, and he said, "Wow, if I would have had this 20 years ago and applied it to the car and auto industry," he said, "this would have been huge." So definitely systems and models and the training. I love that Gary makes it is about the agent, right? If we are happy and taken care of and we feel good, then we're going to transfer that onto our clients. So I love that he's all about the agent. And we really don't have to reinvent the wheel. The plan is there. We just have to do it. Simple. And the culture. We love the culture too. Yes, we love the culture, don't we? Yes. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, the MREA, if you don't have a copy and you haven't picked it up and started reading it, please do. We've got them available at the Market Center for $12. It's your business Bible. Everything you need to know about building a successful real estate business is in there. You just need to do it, like Bruce said. So thank you guys so much for jumping on here and giving us an hour of your day. This information is so incredibly important for our new agents and experienced agents alike. And we appreciate you being so transparent and sharing so much of your best practices, and just, being in the spirit of collaboration. We just so appreciate that. So thank you guys so much. We are going to turn it over to Thomas at Bridge Twins. He's going to give you a little presentation about what he does and the services he can provide. And then after that, we'll let you get on with your day. So I will turn it over to Thomas.
Sure. Well, thank you. I know it hasn't been all that long since I was on here last, but I wanted to share just a couple things that we offer with our Virtuance Marketing Suite. So basically what that means is when you shoot, say 123 Main Street, now you've got your own client panel. And with that comes a number of capabilities and some of the things that actually tie into some of the topics that you were talking about today. But before I do, in the chat box, as usual, I want to offer everybody a promo code. So when you click on this, It's going to bring you to our website, and it's going to be a button that says send me discount. Everybody's going to get a nice promo code. It's active for 2 months. And then also you're automatically entered into a raffle. I'm doing a $99 gift card raffle for you guys. So make sure to jump on that really quick. It's just virtuance.com/min, M-I-N. And I'm also in a contest with our Chicago rep right now. And I tell you what, I'm just as competitive as you guys. I want to beat him. So let's show Chicago what we've got to offer. That would be doing me a big favor too. So, okay, let me, I want to share the screen just for 2 minutes here. And I want to show you what that client panel looks like and some of the capabilities that you have and options that you have for listing appointments specifically. As you know, of course, Keller Williams is a technology company, and so are we. We can offer you awesome different examples of tools to bring into your listing appointments. And one of them is different parts of the Virtuance Marketing Suite. So for example, when you order a shoot for, say it's 123 Main Street, now you've got this client panel, right? So you've got an overview of, you'll be able to see your branded and unbranded custom websites, how many views are on that website, how long are people staying on that website. That website, of course, has lead generation. You'll be able to see how many leads and where they're coming from, all just on this overview. Along with that, you'll be able to see a stats report that shows where's the traffic at, which websites are you marketing on that are getting the most views, which days of the week are the most popular, which images are the most popular, how many images are people getting through, right? Just so much information to keep you guys involved in. I was talking to a different agent a couple of weeks ago, and she said, you need to show the stats report more often because she relies on this. She said that she brings this into her listing appointments and says, all right, you know, here's, and with this, for example, you'll be able to see, let me move this. You'll be under your My Agent page. You'll be able to see every single listing that you've done with us. And so she goes through and just clicks on some of the different listings that she has and goes into the stats report and shows her potential sellers, says, here is one that we had 2 weeks ago. We had 148, views within the first day. They'll be able to see that. They'll say almost all of our views are getting on Thursdays and Fridays. And so we're going to make sure that we're listing on a Thursday and we'll be able to get this thing sold as fast as possible. You'll be able to see which websites are you marketing on that are getting the most views. So say you're putting, a bunch of money into Zillow or something for your advertisements, but you're seeing that Facebook is getting way more views compared to Zillow. Now, hey, you know what? Maybe let's try doing some Facebook advertising. All of this is information that you can see here on the statistics. It's real time. You can have it sent to your clients whenever you'd like, weekly, monthly. You can have it done automatically. Just awesome stuff to keep you and your sellers involved. You'll be able to customize your website. You'll be able to see all of this stuff, even creating free custom brochures, right? So you've got 123 Main Street. Say you just sold it within, 2 days at 105% asking price. And now you want to make an example of that listing, right? Now you can bring this into your listing appointments, right? So you can customize it, just say sold, 2 days, 105% asking price, or maybe you want to have this as your mailer, or you go drop it off, door to door, whatever that looks like for you guys. Awesome stuff to keep you guys involved. And of course, the free brochure with it. People, what's the bold law? It's emotion equals action. Is that right? If you can get your potential sellers excited in listing appointments, there's a much better chance that you can win that listing, right? Even in the competitive listing market that we're in. And with that, people are visual, right? They want to see what you're going to be able to do for them. So bringing something like this into a listing appointment, or showing, like I said, all of the different listings that you've done with numbers and statistics on showing how, you've been able to sell the last 3 at an average of 104% asking price, just awesome stuff to keep you guys involved. And this comes with every single package, free. It comes with, I mean, that's just part of, that's just part of working with us. So I wanted to share that with you guys. There's a lot of really cool things that comes with it. And again, like last time, I'm just scratching the surface. There's so many tools to help you guys out. Even, you know, in the time that we've got, I was reading an article that they're saying that this winter could potentially be the highest inventory winter that we're going to ever have, or that we've had, you know, in any recent year, because of, you know, everything that's going on. And great ways to help keep you guys organized, keep you guys involved. So does anybody have any questions for me? Any questions? I am absolutely cooking in the sun right now. Okay, so like I said, make sure to jump onto that link. Get yourself that promo code. It's active for a couple months. You'll be able to utilize that whenever your next listing comes up. Like I said, when you do that, you're automatically entered into my raffle for the $99 gift card to work with us. So if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out anytime. I know Lisa's got my information. I can put my information, or maybe I'll just have Lisa send it out in an email or something like that. We can.
One question, Tom. What's the turnaround? So like if we said, oh, we're taking a new listing, I met with the people today, and we order photos and whatnot to be done through Virtuance, what's our turnaround time?
Sure. So first lead time, we can get out there within 1 to 3 business days, typically 1 to 2, especially, you know, right now when things are starting to slow down. Turnaround time is before 5 p.m. the next day. And that's even on a Friday shoot. We do deliver on Saturdays. We need to make sure that we're keeping up with you guys. So
Awesome. Thank you.
You bet. All right. Well, thanks again, you guys. I really appreciate it. As always, you can always reach out to me. We're a preferred partner with the Market Center. And so if you're ever in there, we should have brochures in the the little resource counter. So that also has my personal card and cell phone number on it. So thank you.
Great. Thanks, Thomas. Okay, well, on that note, it is 12:05, so I'm going to let you guys get on with your day. Just so that you know, in case you weren't here for the entire meeting, it is being recorded and will be posted on our Facebook page. So feel free to jump on there and watch what you missed or rewatch it. Another huge thank you again to Bruce and Kelly. Thank you so much. We so appreciate the information and the time you gave. And don't forget to get outside today and go vote. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.